So we know that you're really good at bringing things into your business. You're really good at inviting in more abundance. You're really good at being creative and having ideas and just making more things, doing more things, writing more blog posts, attending more events. You're really good at doing more. But when was the last time you exercised your letting go muscles? Hi, I'm Amy Simpkins, Vision Architect, and I help solopreneurs like consultants, coaches, and creative entrepreneurs cast cohesive, integrated big picture visions for their business and life, and then use iterative implementation to make those visions reality in a flexible way, in a sustainable way, and in a way that's going to drive revenue sooner. So today we're going to talk about something that's super important in your business, but it's really hard in our culture to talk about. We do not live in a culture of letting go. We kind of suck at it as a culture. If we are not actively drawing more in, expecting more, and I'm talking about this sort of in a general life sort of way, not just with regards to your business. We are inviting in more income into our life. We invite more food. We like more material possessions, more time off. It's all about more. And even if we're not actively inviting more in, we have a tendency to want to hang on to things. Like, maybe I don't need it now, but what if I need it in a year or two? Now, I have German heritage and I'm from the Midwest, and I come from good Midwestern farm stock. And if you know anything about Midwestern farm stock, you know that we love to hang on to things just in case we'll need them later. And I mean, this is ingrained in us by our culture of, being kind of isolated out on the farm. If you were in the 1800s and you were out on the farm, you would need to keep things around, spare parts and spare units, so that if it was going to take a long time to run to the store, if the store even had what you were looking for. So you would save your stuff, even if you weren't using it, and maybe you didn't even expect to use it again, and you would save it for the next time, just in case. So that kind of mentality has been ingrained into us, kind of in our culture. And now I know that there's an effort to move towards minimalism. And if you are part of that movement, that's pretty cool, because you're starting to shift your mind around needing to hold on to the stuff that you don't need. But even you can get caught up in it around your business. When was the last time you took a look at your business and you reviewed what you had going on in your business and you asked yourself, what do I need to let go of? I'm betting it doesn't happen very often. But we all need to go through periods of letting go. Despite what is culturally ingrained in us, it's human to be cyclical. It's human to go through cycles of bringing in and cycles of releasing. That's why we have, in yoga we have Shavasana, because you need to have a yin to oppose the yang. You need to have passivity to oppose the activity. It's important for the complete picture. It's why when we're working out, we contract the muscles to make them stronger, but it's also important to stretch the muscles to build flexibility. You can't have one without the other. If you're always building strength and not building flexibility, then your health picture is incomplete. And it's the same way in your business, that it's periodically, it's important to not just invite in, not just create, generate more, but also to go through periods of release, letting go. So what kind of things might you need to release in your business? So what inspired this video was that I was going through and putting together my business expenses to do my taxes here in the US. It's that time of year. And I was going through my internet hosting billing, and I was looking at my domains that I was getting charged for, because I have a few parked domains that are parked for products that I had thought of, that I had brainstormed, and I wanted the URL, so I got it. And one of them popped up as I was reviewing which ones, where the charges were from, and I said, I never built that product. I don't think I'm going to build that product. And the little voice was there in my head, and it said, but what if you do? What if in 5 years you want to build that product? Wouldn't you rather have the domain? And I said, and I had to stop and I had to listen to that voice, and I had to say, maybe it has a point. Does it have a point? And my conscious brain was able to work around it to say, I don't think I'm ever going to build that product. And if I decide to build that product, it wasn't the greatest name anyway. I'll probably rename it something else, which means I need a different URL. If it ends up being the same name, I will deal with it at the time. But it's not worth me paying $15 a year or whatever the domain. Some of them are $25 a year, some of them are $7 a year. But it's not worth me paying an annual fee and having it just hanging around on my account. It feels much better to let it go. And as Elizabeth Gilbert points out in her book, Big Magic, inspiration about a similar idea strikes multiple people around the same time, so that if someone can't implement it because they're too busy implementing other ideas, someone else can implement it. And so I'm releasing that idea to be implemented by someone else. If they want the URL, they can have it. And hopefully it will be a more amazing product than the one that I was going to build anyway. Okay, so there's one example of things in your business that you can release. You can release URLs or domain names. You can release products that you were going to develop but kind of have fallen out with your business. We can also, sorry, my phone just beeped. I had put it on silent, but who knows what happens with my phone. So I got distracted. You could release clients who aren't fitting. Nothing says that when a client comes up for renewal, you have to renew their contract. If they are not in a place where you're going to serve them best because you've evolved away from them or they've evolved away from you, it's okay to let them go. You can release platforms that you've bought that no longer serve you. Like if you're using one sort of app and there's a new sort of app that's going to do the same thing for you but better, release the old one. You don't have to keep it around. You could release mailing lists that you've signed up for that you never pay attention to. Facebook groups that you're a part of that you never post in. Why do we want to release? It's lighter. It's to make ourselves lighter. It's to create the space for more goodness to happen. When you're ready to move back to more, when you're ready to move back to inviting in, you have created the space to handle the more, to take the more in. Whereas if you're heavy and you're weighed down with all of these things, it can really draw you down. If you have domain names for products that you never use, or that you never built, how do you feel when you go back and you look at those domain names? And you say, oh man, I never built that product. Does it feel uplifting? I mean, to me, it feels disappointing. Even if I know that the product wasn't something that was aligned with my vision, it still gives me that twinge of, I didn't succeed at that one. I didn't see it through. And so it doesn't feel good. Why would you want to do that to yourself when you've made the decision? Okay, so the last point I kind of want to make, and then we'll get really actionable here, the last point I want to make is that letting go, releasing things, it's a muscle. It needs to be exercised. It's hard the first few times you do it. You get that anxiety about, am I going to need it in the future? Like, is this really a stupid idea that I'm letting it go? But it takes practice. Have faith. Go through the analysis and have faith that you've done it right and that you really know what it is that you need and that this is not it. Let the first thing go and see how it feels. See how much lighter you feel afterwards. And then it'll get easier every single time you do it, because letting go is a muscle and it needs to be exercised. Okay, so how do we let go in our businesses? The first thing about letting go is that it is a lot about mindset. It doesn't even have to do with the physical letting go of something, although it does have a little bit to do with that, so we're going to get to that in a minute. But first you need to get your head, that your head is really letting something go. Even if you delete the thing or move on, physically from it, getting your brain around letting it go is the big issue. And so doing work around letting go in mindset in general will help you in the specifics of letting it go. So there are things you can do with your mindset. Grounding is a great way to release thoughts and ideas. And grounding practices can be meditation. And just creating that space in your brain. You can accomplish grounding through deep breathing and connecting with your physical body. You can practice grounding by exercise and again, getting into your body. Yoga is great for it, but it could also be vigorous exercise like running. And so just getting yourself into the mindset of being able to release, stating some positive affirmations around releasing, that saying, I am actively, consciously releasing this concept for someone else to benefit from. I am actively releasing this concept because it's no longer serving me and my business. I am actively releasing this concept because I am moving on to things that are more aligned with my business vision. So once you have that mindset that it's time to let go, it's time to release it, you're not going to build the thing, that's okay. The next thing to do is to physically release it. And so they're the things that we talked about before. I want you to, number one, release the domain name. Take the domain name off of auto-renew. I want you to unsubscribe from the mailing list. Leave the Facebook group. If you want to have some closure around it, well, we'll talk about closure in a second. Let's go back. I want you to be prepared, when the client comes to the end of their contract, I want you to be prepared to have the hard conversation and say, you know what, I think there's something that can serve you better. And you can even go as far as if you have files on your computer. Now make sure you get, any copy out of there that you want to have to save that you might use later. And make sure that there isn't anything imagery and stuff that you will want to use later. But other than that, delete the folder off of your computer. If it's something that's old and you don't want to keep it around and it feels heavy, it feels like it's weighing you down, let it go. Delete it. Get it out so that you create the space for new and better things to come in. And the final tip here is to get some closure. And sometimes, closure is a funny thing. Humans are kind of funny, fickle things. Sometimes you really need to have this milestone that marks closure. Now, in my case, that story that I told you with the URL, just taking the URL off of auto-renew, that was enough closure for me. But depending on what the thing is, you might need to have a little bit more closure. You can take some pages out of the spiritual world and care for yourself in your business the way you would care for yourself spiritually. To release things, you can say a blessing. Say a blessing as your idea or your client goes off, and just wish it well out there in the universe away from you. You can write it down on a piece of paper and burn it, and let the smoke go up. So that's you taking it and saying, I'm done with it, and it can be released back from whence it came. But humans are funny things, and ritual speaks to us just as creatures, as our psychology is built for accepting ritual. And so if that's what you need to make that mindset shift, to really let go, don't be afraid of it. It sounds silly, but don't let your brain tell you that it's silly. It's not. Some of these things are really big, and they really were a part of you. And so when you let them go, it's okay to mourn a little. And it's okay to need that ritual to move on. So let's just review really quick. When you're doing your periodic business reviews is a great time to make space. And you make space by letting things go, releasing them, not keeping them around just in case you're going to use them or you need them in the future. Things that you can let go are products or ideas or creations that you've started but not finished and are no longer in line with your business vision. You can release clients who are no longer a good fit for you. You can release tools, services, mailing lists, mentors who are no longer aligned with what you're doing, and there's better options. The tips for actually exercising your letting go muscle are to, first of all, ground yourself. Get your mindset right. Do some practices that set you up well for being able to let go, to be in that mindset of release. Secondly, to actually physically release the things by deleting the folders, unsubscribing from the list, having the hard conversation with the client, whatever it takes to physically clear space in your business for new and amazing things to come in. And thirdly, if it feels big and it feels like a giant empty space and it's making you a little twitchy that you've released this thing, try a ritual. Try marking the milestone with a ceremony, with a blessing, by burning a piece of paper, by lighting a candle for it and wishing it well as it wings its way to someone else in inspiration. Send your clients off with all the goodwill in the world because you definitely want to see them succeed. You're going to find that as you exercise this letting go muscle, it gets easier to do, and it's going to create the space in your business. Even though it feels scary at first, it creates that beautiful space in your business for you to invite new, amazing, creative, innovative things in. Based on what you've learned recently, you can incorporate all of that knowledge, all of that growth, and the things you're going to create are going to be so much more powerful than the old ideas that have gotten stale. Thanks for tuning in today. Hey, if you liked this video, go ahead and give it a like down below and let me know how you find using your letting go muscle in the comments. Do you find it easy? Do you find it hard? What's your favorite way to release that which is no longer serving you? Let me know. And if you're finding this video on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the Amy Simpkins Vision Architect channel, where I have more mindset, vision crafting, and iterative implementation for entrepreneurs. Have a wonderful day.